What's up? Welcome to Built. Today I'm going to be showing you how to remove a stuck CV axle. If you're like me, you buy crappy cars or cheap cars or old cars or all of the above, and oftentimes things are not as easy to remove as they would be on a nicer or more low mileage car. So I'm going to be removing a CV axle. It's going to be stuck, and I'm going to show you how to get it unstuck. I've used this method 3 times. I rebuilt both of the MR2 axles with some better cages and ball bearings. And I had to use this on both sides, and so I'm going to use it again today, and I'm going to show you. It's really simple, so if you're in the middle of a CV axle job and you just can't get it to come out, I'm going to help you. I'm going to make it really easy. I'm going to go ahead and go through the whole process of taking the CV axle out. It's going to be really fast, so no sweat. But if you need more information, there's plenty of YouTube videos on how to do that. I'm going to skim over that part a little bit, and we're going to really focus on how to pull out the stuck portion. So that's the part that goes in the differential. It can get stuck on older cars, especially when your car has 150, 160, 170,000 miles, and this one does. So I'm going to show you a tool that I made to do that. It's going to be really cool, and hopefully it'll help you out if you are in a situation where your CV axle is stuck. Check it out. Okay, so we're going to start by popping the center cap out, and then I'm going to grab a 36mm socket. I don't have an impact, so I'm leaving the car on the ground and just using a really big breaker bar. Once that's broken loose, it should turn off the rest of the way pretty easy. You can really do it by hand. Then you can jack up the car, pull the wheel off, unbolt the brake caliper and remove it. You can use some wire to hang it up by the spring. Just get it out of the way. Then you pull the rotor off. This car has some set screws that were a pain. I ended up having to drill them out. But a lot of cars you can just pull the rotor right off as soon as the brake caliper is removed. Next you can loosen the castle nut that is on the control arm. I didn't take it all the way off. I'll show you why in a little bit. You're going to want to take off the bolts that are holding your strut into the steering knuckle. It's probably going to take a little force. I used my giant breaker bar to get those out. You can just tap them out with something after the nuts are loose. Go back down to the control arm and just hit it really hard. I know it sounds ridiculous, but you just take a sledgehammer and hit it, and eventually the ball joint will pop right out. Screw the axle nut back on in reverse so that you have something to hammer, and you just give it a tap, and the axle should pop through the steering knuckle, and then you can pull the steering knuckle up and out of the way. Here's where we run into trouble. This axle has been in this car for 170,000 miles, and it does not want to come out. So what I ended up having to do was take a razor blade and run a razor blade all the way around the outside of it to cut the axle apart. Basically, I cut the boot apart, and then I cleaned up the area where the boot connects, cut off the excess rubber, ended up having to actually use the tool that I made to pull that off. Let me show you that now. So this is my stuck CV removal tool. It is literally only used for this job. I guess you could use it for other things. I haven't really found a need for it, but it's really simple. It's some 3/8 threaded rod, a nut on one end, and some washers, the head of a sledgehammer. It used to have a handle, but it fell off. Another nut, and then some vice grips that have a 3/8 screw on the back. And so the way it works is you clamp that down onto the CV. I actually used this to pull some of the old rubber that was dry rotted onto the CV. And anyway, you clamp this down, and then you just take the slide hammer and you slide it, and eventually it will pop out. You've really got to crank this thing down to get a good grip on it, and you really need some vice grips that have some good teeth. So if they're old, they may not grab into it as well. But I have used this 3 times so far, all on axles that had over 170,000 miles on them, and it worked every single time.
All right, come fix the tire. Use that tool and come fix it, please. That doesn't need that one.
So once that is out, you're going to take the new axle, compare it to the old one, make sure you got the right part, because it would be very frustrating to get everything back in and it not be the correct part. But you're going to push it in. You're going to take the axle, you're going to push it into the slot and try to line the grooves up, and eventually it'll click into place. Once it's in place, give it a little tug, make sure that it's in there securely, and you can reverse the installation process in order to reinstall your CV axle. Once everything's buttoned back up, put the wheel back on, drop the car back on the ground, and you are good to go. Listen, I hope this video helped you. I hope that it helped you if you're in a really bad spot. I found a forum write-up on that tool when I was trying to figure out how to take my CV axles apart in my MR2, and it saved me so much time. I think I spent 5 or 6 hours working on that thing before I found that, and then I got the axle out in a couple minutes with that tool. So it might cost you a little bit of money, but it's totally worth it, and you will use it again if you do work like this often. Even for me, I've replaced 3 CV axles in about a year and a half, and that tool totally paid itself off just in the time I saved. So I hope this helped you. Listen, we got t-shirts. I'm pretty stoked about this. We just made these t-shirts. You can actually pick your color. I'll link them in the video and below. So check that out. Everything that we make from t-shirts goes towards builds. I want to speed up my build process so I can get more content out. The t-shirts will help me do that. So I would love for you to go pick up a t-shirt, support Built, support this channel. You guys have been awesome. We're over 10,000 subscribers, which is incredible. I actually made a shirt for it. It's also on the link if you want to go check that out. Like I said, you can pick your color. I made the logo in white because this shirt is meant to be dirty, so pick a dark color and wear it when you do your builds. Send me pictures. I want to see them. Thank you guys so much for all the support. I hope you enjoyed the video. I've got actually some more progress to post on the fenders as well. I've just been doing a lot of sanding and bondoing and sanding and bondoing and sanding and bondoing and sanding. So there will be a new video out soon. You get to see those things in primer. They look awesome. I'm really, really stoked about them. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. See you soon. All right, you ready? That easy. Boom. Killing it. Wow, way too good at this. A crappy process, this job is. And imagine if like you did it every day, it wouldn't be that bad, but maybe it would though.